It's raining again, but I got some good news. See that? It's time for MYOG Monday, so stick around. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of MYOG Monday. Today's MYOG, if you haven't read the description or looked at the title, we are going to build a Kydex taco press so we can do some Kydex sheaths for a knife. And I got several other knives I wouldn't mind doing sheaths for. So you're going to need some supplies for this, and I'm just going to break it down real fast here. You're going to need some hinges. You're going to need at least 3/4 inch plywood. I got a piece here that's 24 inches by 24 inches. I went to a local big box store, got it. Some tape is useful for when you're cutting this. You can put the tape there, and it helps with the tear out when you're using a circular saw. You're going to need a circular saw, fasteners, a driver, a drill, and some measuring devices, and something to write with. Now, before we get too deep into this, let's talk, and last but not least, the most expensive part of the press, the foam. Now, this is a high temperature neoprene foam that I bought from a local business about 6 to 8 years ago. This is actually going to be the second press I have made. I got my monster press, which I made mainly for holsters, for things that if you talk about in YouTube you can get in trouble for, so we're not going to talk about them. And I'm making this press for knife blades. If you can't find a business where you can get the type of foam you're going to need to do this, you have some alternatives. You can go online to knifekits.com. I'm going to put a link. I'm going to try to put a link. And they pretty much have everything you need to do Kydex. They have Kydex. Heck, they have pre-made presses if you want to buy one. But they are pretty pricey, I'm going to warn you. This option, we're going to talk hardware. The piece of plywood here, the 24 inch by 24 inch piece of plywood, was $11.37. The hinges were, both of them together, they were $4.13 each. And I didn't have any of this painter's tape, and I knew I needed some. That surprisingly was more expensive than one of the hinges. That right there was $6.58. Ouch. Okay. So the hardware you're going to need, not terribly expensive. It's the foam that's going to be expensive, and you can buy foam from knifekits.com. So let's move along to the construction phase. So first thing we need to do is I need to cut this right down the middle. I need to make 2 equal pieces. So we're going to measure. And I know this is just under 24 inches. In fact, I got my yardstick on here. I'll show you. I love how they market it as 24 inches. And as you can see, it's not 24. 24 is here. The board's over here. But we're going to do our best to get dead center. So, I'm going to come back over here. And bear with me. Whoop, that's the wrong way. There we go. Come back over here. And I'm going to show you how to get dead center. There's 12 inches. And then I'm going to line up this 24 dead even here. And I'm going to mark again on the 12-inch part. You see these 2 marks that I just did? If it'll focus. then we want to do a mark dead center of those. That's dead center of the board. Now I'm going to rotate the board, and I'm going to do that on the other side. Also, when you're working with plywood, you're going to notice you have one really nice smooth side, and the other side's going to be pretty rough. I would put the rough side inside the taco press. And by the way, the taco press is the easiest Kydex press to build. There are much harder designs out there, but this one's super easy. I think anyone who owns tools can make one. Alright, there's dead center. Now we got marks for dead center on each side. Now I'm going to take my tape, and we're going to open the tape, since I didn't even get the wrapper off it yet. And we are going to put a piece of tape across there. Then we're going to draw our line for our circular saw, and we're going to rip that in half. Alright. Throw that away. Alrighty. Okay. See if we can get this. So right across there to just about there. Okay. Now I'm going to measure again. But see, now I'm going to use the Sharpie, because that's what I use normally to do my lines for when I'm working with plywood. Okay, there's my center. I'll rotate the wood and do that again. One more time, shall we? And then we got 12 there. And I'm going to line that up. That's exactly centered. And I got 12 here. And now the middle of those two is right there. Now I'm going to draw a line right on that middle. Just like that. Okay. Now I'm going to take this out in my workshop, and I'm going to take the circular saw to it, cut it in half, and I'll be right back. I don't want to torture your eardrums with that kind of noise, so I'll be right back. Oh, but before I go, one thing I didn't mention, supplies. You're going to need a piece of a 2x4. And the only reason I didn't throw it up here on the table is because the only 2x4 I have is 8 feet long, and it's out in my shop, and I didn't want to lug it in here. So I will cut a piece of 2x4 once I have this cut in half that'll fit this. It'll fit this these pieces. Alright, so I'll be right back. And we have our piece of 2x4, which is cut the same width as our boards. And we have two equally sized boards cut from our piece. Now, I'm making my taco press to do knife blades, not big ones, just regular knife blades, like the Joker Lynx. As you can see, we have a decent amount of real estate here, because the rule is, when you're doing Kydex, is off each side here and the tip you want an inch, or what is that in metric? I think that's like 25 or 2.5 centimeters, I think. 2.5 centimeters. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. But you want that kind of margin around this. And then the Kydex is going to come just up and over this much of the handle. So as you can see, we got plenty of room here to be putting the Kydex in here when the foam and everything. So I don't have to have it like super long. So I'm going to take one of these pieces and I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it a little bit more than 10 inches because I have 23 3/4 inches here to deal with. So there'll be a little bit of waste on one end that I'll get rid of. And the reason I'm doing that is because my foam is about 20.5 inches. So if I cut this like 10 1/4 or just 10 1/2, or heck, you know what? I'll just cut them at 11 and call it good. So I'll cut 2 pieces off one of these at 11 inches, and like I said, we got our 2x4 here. We got all our stuff, and we're gonna make our little press. So let's get everything out of the way. So I want to cut 2 pieces at 11 inches. So we're going to go from here, we're going to go right there. I'm sorry if I'm in the way, I know I'm ruining the shot. Okay, got my 2 pieces. If you'll notice, the edge here are just perfect. There's no tear out, and that's what the tape is for. It'll save you a lot of trouble, because when we're done here, we're going to go over everything with sandpaper, and it just saves you so much trouble. I know I was cringing on the price of the tape. It's went up, but it's well worth it. Okay, so let me get that one marked. And I'm marking this to where when I cut it, that the kerf, the waist is going this way, so this over here will be exactly 11 inches. Because you always got to take into account the width of the saw blade. That's your waist when you do this, if you're not familiar with it. And by the way, if you're not comfortable using these kind of power tools, you need to find somebody who has them and knows how to use them. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut that, and this is going to be our save piece. And then this piece we're going to have to lay out and cut, once this is cut, our other 11-inch piece. And we're going to have our all 3 pieces for our taco press. So let me go cut that, and I'll be right back. So we have our piece cut here, and this is going to be the waist piece. And I just wanted to give you a better look at how that edge looks when you use the tape like this. Nice little tip. Watch this. I'm going to peel the tape. Okay? There's no tear out at all. Now it goes without saying, you want a good sharp blade on your circular saw to do this, to prevent tear out. So now we're going to see, so we got about that much we got to take off. So I'm going to go ahead, let's do some measurements. Let's get this done, because I'm wanting to make me some Kydex sheaths. Okay. Yep. Right about there. Okay, now let's do my lines for the saw. Remember, you want to, when you mark this, you want to include the waste that the kerf, which is the width of the blade, involves. That's why I like using Sharpies, because usually when I do that line, the type of blades I'm using, it's almost exactly the kerf. Okay. So there we go. And that line right there is what we're going to cut, and this will be our waist. So I'll be right back as soon as I get that cut. Here's our waist piece that came off there. Here's our two pieces. And guess what? They fit. I guess I haven't lost my touch. Okay, before we move on to the next step, I just want to say, power tools, especially a circular saw, okay? I know not everybody has access to one or even has good skill in using one. So a lot of this can be done with hand tools. A hand saw, an old school hand saw. When I was a kid, I didn't have any of this. In fact, my dad's workshop, we had exactly 3 power tools. We had a plug-in-the-wall drill, a, what the heck was that thing? Oh, bench grinder, plug-in-the-wall bench grinder, and an auto body grinder, because my dad was an auto mechanic and he did body work. Those were all the power tools I had access to as a kid. A lot of woodwork I did with a hand saw. Okay, so that's another option if you don't have access to a circular saw. Okay, so our next step here, because this is going to be as big as the taco press is getting, is we have this piece. Zoom out here. We have this piece of 3/4 inch, or I'm sorry, this is a standard US 2x4. Now, I measured it earlier to make sure. Most standard 2x4s from here to here, the exact width, is 3.5 inches. This is 3/4. So if we were to glue and screw the bottom together just like that, and then mount this piece here with the hinges, we will have almost exactly 2 inches gap here, which is what we want because our foam is 1 inch thick. Okay, so that is what we are going to do, but it requires me to kind of move things around here because I'm kind of working around this camera. So I'm going to get this set up and everything set up so I can glue and screw these 2 pieces together, and I will bring you back to show you that. So the first thing we're going to do, we have our bottom piece, and I'm using this really fine side for the inside on this board, and we have our 2x4 here. Now this table's pretty flat. I'm going to push this right up against that. I'm going to use my pencil here, and I'm going to draw a line. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a line right here. Now I'm going to use this as a reference point, and I'm going to drill some pilot holes through here, all the way through, so I can run screws from the back side and screw and glue that together. So, got that done. Got this around here. Got my drill. I'm gonna have to go get another drill bit. That one is not long enough. I will be right back. I got a much better, longer drill bit. So we're gonna, yeah. See that? All the way through. And I'm gonna try to do, I'm eyeballing these. I'm going to try to do these somewhat equally spaced. There's one here, and I'm going to try to do one here, one here. You don't have to get super fancy with something like this. It's a tool. We're building another tool that will allow us to build something for our outdoor fun. So there's our 4 pilot holes. Now what we're going to do, we're going to line up on this and get this centered. And I'm doing this by feel with my fingers. Okay? So this is all even. I'm going to have to move the camera a little bit because I have to come in here at this angle, which means I got to move the camera. Okay. See if I can get in that hole. Okay, I'm all lined up. Oop. I'm going to have to get some clamps because I don't want that moving on me. Good news is I have clamps right over here behind me. Let's see if I can clamp this whole thing. That ain't gonna work. Unfortunately, this table isn't flat under here, it's concave. So, I'm gonna have to try to hold this drill and do everything all at once like I have multiple appendages. More than I actually do. There we have our first pilot hole. Now, I'll take some of our fasteners here. These are, let's see if I can get that to focus. These are nothing like super exotic. I just had these and I said, you know what, these are probably going to be long enough. Maybe. I might have to drive those super deep. I don't think those are going to work for this. So, I think I know where some others are, so I'll be right back as I go get other screws. Okay, I'm back. I got some 3-inch decking screws, and those are plenty long enough, as you can see. They are going to have plenty of bite to them. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this first one started. And I want it to bite into that pilot hole I drilled. And then what I'm going to do is with that, holding that together, I'll drill these other pilot holes. And hopefully, I won't split this wood. Oh, look at that. There it is sticking out just barely. Okay. Let's get this all lined up. Alright, that looks beautiful. That's right where I want it. Okay, now I'm going to do this far one here so I can pull the ends in, and then I can do the last two. Then I got to pull it apart, put some glue in there, put it back together. So, yeah, fun times. Okay, got that. Okay. Alright. So I got our two primary screws holding this together. It's all evened up. Now I just need to drill these last two pilot holes. I'm going to stand it upright to do this just because it's easier on me. Okay. Alright. We got those last two pilots done. Let's put this in there. Boom. All right. Okay, so we have our basic guy put together, you know. Now we're going to go ahead, we're going to take it apart. I can put some glue in there and put it back together. So, need to come out on these. I think right about there. Okay. Now, I want just a little bit of this sticking out. It'll help me line it up when I go to put it back together. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. So, I got them just sticking out so I can line it back up, because now we're going to take our tight bond, which hopefully is still good. The nozzle's all gunked up and I'm not going to mess with it, so I'm going to do the old school finger trick. Which, it's okay because I'm old school and I don't mind getting glue on my finger. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So we got our glue on here, healthy amount. Now we're gonna go ahead and line this back up with the previous holes, just like that. Get this stuff off my fingers and drive this home. Come on, there you go. Bingo. 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 Bongo. Okay, I have no glue bleeding through. Everything seems to be good. Alright. Now we're ready for the next step. And the next step is we're taking this piece and we're mounting it like that, but with the hinges, much like that. So let me get things kind of rearranged here, cleaned up, and I will bring you back for that. So our next step here is we want to figure out the exact center of this 2x4. Now, an American 2x4, I measured this one to be sure. It's exactly 1.5 inches. Half of 1.5 inches is 3/4. So I'm going to take some of my blue painter's tape. About that much. I'm going to go across here, just like that. I'm going to take a little machinist square that's set to 3/4, And I'm going to draw a line. If I got any lead left. Turn this, make it easier on myself. I'll do that one more time just to darken the line. Okay. I don't know if you can see that. There's a line that's dead center. Okay. These hinges I'm going to be mounting here, it's these outer holes, this hole and this hole, that I want centered on that line. This hole is offset that way, so I'm not really worried, but it's these center holes. And the nice thing about these hinges, this is a 4-inch heavy-duty T-hinge, is they actually they're stiff. See that? It won't go on its own. I'm sure they'll break in over time, but I want them stiff like that so that when it's mounted here and I got the other piece here and I have it in the up position and I'm putting something here, it's not going to fall down prematurely. I'm going to have to put it down. So, okay. So, let's measure, I think about an inch. So let's go an inch. Just like that. And just like that. And I'm going to come just off like that and get in here. I'll show you what I'm doing. I'm centering that line in those holes. Okay, so I can come in here and I can drill a pilot hole. That's about as much of that as I want to drill. That one. Okay, now I need to do this for the other side, just like I did. And you want to use each hinge where you're placing it and keep them separated, because they could be a little off from each other. You don't want to assume they're exactly the same. Last time I did that with a piece of hardware I bought, I was thoroughly upset because nothing matched up exactly the way it should have. Okay. Okay. Now I can pull that tape off. I've got my screws. So we're going to mount this one first. Alright. Screw. Okay. Same thing here. Okay, and then we want to drill our pilot hole here for the center. You just want to center that as best you can. Don't go super deep with these holes, because you want your screw, when you put it in, to have a lot of grab. Just like that. And I need one more screw. Okay, so that's done. Now, this tape is almost 2 inches across. Here's our other piece. Boom. I need to find something though to put in there with the tape just to bring this up a little higher, because I got a little bit of a gap right here. Now watch this, I can pass the pencil under here, see? So, let me look around, see if I can find a magazine or something that's just the right thickness, and I'll bring you right back when I have that. I looked through a bunch of my stuff. Every magazine, you know, a paper magazine I tried in here was too thick, but I found this piece of junk mail that is just the right thickness. That with the roll of tape, I'm able to get this board exactly the right height. So I'm going to get everything lined up here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay out at least several of the screw holes, and we're going to drill them. So that's about where we want it. Okay, let me pull this back. There's where we're going to drill our holes. So let's get the, you know what, I think I can drill that right there. Yep, I'm not going to hit nothing good. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now these wood screws are going to be a little long because they're inch and this is 3/4, so they're gonna stick out a little bit. But we can grind those down with a Dremel. Ain't no big deal. So we got 2 of them drilled. I was going to drill those other ones, but I just want to see how this mates up, because I can always drill the other ones by using the hinges as a guide. Look at that. There we go. And as you can see, they stick out, but we're going to grind those down. But let's get our other holes drilled now that we got everything kind of lined up and ready to go. So we got okay. All right. Woo! Throwing screws everywhere. Okay. Get that out of there. And as you can see, they stick through about 1/8. So I'm gonna have to take this out in the main shop, take the grinder, attachment for my Dremel, and I'm going to grind these down to where they're flush. But now when you look, we have 2 inches here. In fact, let me double check that. I think at this widest point it should be exactly 2, and it should taper. Yep. So let me get this in camera so you can see. And I don't know if that's visible or not, but that's 2 inches right there. And it tapers down here at the far end to, I mean, you can squeeze 1 3/4 inches. So, and the cool thing is, you put your foam in here, you can go ahead and put a few magazines in here, or newspaper, or whatever, junk mail like I did, underneath the foam, so that when you bring this down, you can even have more tension. So, let me get these ground down. We're going to cut the foam, and we'll have our taco style Kydex press done. And the reason it's called a taco style is it's kind of shaped like a taco shell, you know? Alright, let me go grind that stuff. I'll be right back. Alright, we're back. I got these ground down so they're no longer a problem. And I got my foam kind of rolled out. I got a cutting mat under here. And I'm going to measure and cut. And I'm going to try using my Swiss tool. The knife blade is pretty dang sharp. But what we want to do, the width of this is about 11 3/4. So I want to come in here and I want to measure 11 3/4. Hit that with a Sharpie. Come down here. Measure 11 3/4. Hit that with a Sharpie. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah. Alright. And that's going to be our cut line. Okay. I'll try to cut this, like I said, with my multi-tool blade. Let's see. Oh yeah. Yeah, this could work. Let's see if I can cut in a straight line. Well, almost cut all the way through. There we go. So there's our piece. Now what we're going to do is we're going to find the center of this piece, cut it, and we'll have our 2 pieces for our press. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this and get everything set up, and I'll bring you back. Okay, we're back. We have this laid out. Now we need to find the center. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to measure. Put a mark there. Oh, and it's storming outside. It's raining again. I swear, Michigan is competing with England and Portland for the most rainfall this year. It's absolutely out of control. Well, the Midwest is on fire, and I don't know, man. The whole world's gone crazy. The whole world has gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Okay. Get that centered. That's my cut line. I need some more light. I'm having a hard time seeing. Let me... because that black on black is not easy to see. Is that going to work? No, it's not. When all else fails, put on a headlamp. Hey, I can see now. Okay. Boom. One cut. It's amazing how confident you are when you can see what the heck you're doing. Okay. So, get that out of here. Let me close this blade. Once again, the Swiss tool does another outstanding job. Okay. So we would put one piece of foam in here like this. I'm going to try to put this one opposite like that. I'm going to try to close that. Yeah. This is going to have to, I'm going to have to see if I can get these bends because it's been rolled up so long. If I can get all these bends out or not. Yeah, it seems to be working. Okay, maybe like that. Close this. Oh yeah, that's gonna work, man. That's putting a lot. I'm just doing that by hand tension. That ain't no joke. And if I take a clamp like this and I come in here, because this is how it's going to clamp. You're going to have two clamps here and here, and you're just going to, let me get in here so you can see this. And we're going to have, I have two of these Irwins, so I'm going to put one here. I'm just going to torque down on it. And that's going to give us the tension we need for this to really work. So I'm going to leave it clamped like this for a couple days and let that neoprene kind of flatten out. Maybe not that hard. Maybe about that hard. Because I want it to be flat. So when I come in here to do my sheath, I'm not fighting with it. And in a couple days, this glue down here will be nice and dry and set up. And that'll be that. So I am so glad that you stayed here with part 1 of our Kydex project. Part 2 is going to post exactly 1 day after this MYOG. So you're going to get a MYOG Monday and a MYOG Tuesday. A twofer this week. So I hope you appreciate it. And I hope you go ahead and you build your own Kydex Press and make some sheaths for stuff. And get it done. So, until we meet again, I'll see y'all later out in the woods.